What is happening? Welcome to the Nick and Alex Baseball Show, the show that we just trade and react and trade and react. And we just, I'm sorry, it's Christmas Day. All right. It's Christmas Day. The presents have been opened. Santa hath arrived. And I am joined by I think the man with a new apple in his eye, Alex Fast.
Why do you say the man with a new apple in his eye? Why do you say that?
Because
Let's
because
hear
you
that.
because Brett Phillips is an Oriole now.
Oh yeah, it's funny. I was gonna make that meme today, the distracted boyfriend meme that was like Trey Mancini and then Brett
You couldn't
Phillips,
you
but it
couldn't do that
felt a
to
little
Trey
bit.
though. You couldn't do that to
Yeah, I couldn't
Trey.
do that to
Yeah.
Trey. It felt a little too insensitive to do that to Trey. But yes, this podcast and this baseball show does not need to be long because why talk about any other acquisition than the Brett Phillips one? That's the only
I
important
know,
one that
that's it,
happened today. There was,
right?
well, I want to go back to what you said too. By the way, of it being like Christmas morning. It's not just Christmas morning. It's Christmas morning like the year the N64 came out. This was like the one of
Mm.
the best,
I
most insane trade deadlines ever.
Was that you in that video from years ago? I think you wore your
Yeah,
pajamas
just
well.
punching the air a bunch of
Yes. No, it was an unbelievable trade deadline. It was interesting. A lot of the trades happened early on a bit. I think the later wave wasn't as blockbustery as we've seen in the past. I mean, I started the show with Spore, and actually later on, Jason Martinez, the creator of Roster Resource, from
Mhm.
about 4 to 6:30 or so, and 4 to 6 wasn't very fast. There wasn't much going on until maybe a little bit at the end. We got some gold trades. But what we're going to do today is we're going to go through all of them. There is this amazing article coming out on the site on Wednesday. It's going through every deal that happened at the trade deadline and why it happened. So in case you missed anything, you have this podcast and you have that article. Go check it out. Steven Drumright is doing such an amazing job with it. It's amazing. So we figure, what better way to celebrate baseball than go through all the craziness that happened today? We'll also talk about the winners and losers and how we feel about it and all of that fun stuff. But first, before we get to that, have you rated and reviewed this show on iTunes yet? No. What are you doing? We'll read it out. We'll talk about it. Yeah, do it wherever your podcasts are listened to. Help us out a ton. But Fast, I mean, you're ready to talk some trades?
I'm ready to talk some trades. Let's dive right into it. I mean, we would be remiss if we didn't start with, I mean, not only just the biggest acquisition of the day, the biggest acquisition of the trade deadline, the biggest acquisition of the past couple of years. Brett Phillips, Baltimore Oriole. Now, no, obviously, we're talking about Brett Phillips, number one Baltimore Oriole. Um, sorry,
Unbelievable. You're just going to keep going with it? Is
no.
this going to be the Brett Phillips podcast like Kyle
The
Farnsworth? I
Brett
get
Phillips
it.
cast.
You know?
Obviously Juan Soto, the biggest acquisition of the day, along with Josh Bell, the Nationals getting Mackenzie Gore, CJ Abrams, Luke Voigt, Robert Hassel III, Robert Wood, and Jarlin Zuzana. Really, before we get into the actual talk about the trade, I want to give a quick shout out to the meme game of Josh Sperry because he crushed it today. He had one that really, I mean, you could say by our standards went fully viral. I'm going to turn my light on real quick so people can see me a little bit better.
Sure.
Went fully viral of AJ Preller as Mo from The Simpsons throwing out Eric Hosmer as Barney and then him reappearing right behind him. That was A+ to me. So hats off to him. Obviously a lot of turmoil with Eric Hosmer. He ends up in Boston. First and foremost, Nick, what do you think about this trade? Did one team get hosed? Did one team walk away, feeling successful? And then answer me this question too.
Hmm.
Will the Padres regret this come 2024?
First and foremost, I
Or
think this
2025, sorry.
trade is so good for baseball. And why I say that is because the Padres and the Dodgers are now legitimate rivals.
Mm,
Oh my God.
yeah.
I cannot wait for this. Juan Soto, and Manny Machado and a healthy Fernando Tatis. There's now Josh Hader we'll get into the whole pitching staff of the Padres. against Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Trey Turner and uh, Clayton Kershaw and so on. It's going to be such an amazing energy in September, all the games that they have left. Not to mention, I mean, my fingers are crossed. I'm sorry, Mets. I'm sorry, Atlanta. I'm sorry, whatever the NL Central is. I want an NLCS of Dodgers Padres. However, we get to that, I want it. That would be such a joy, all 7 games. I imagine it would go to. So, first and foremost, I think that's great. I don't think the Padres will regret it because honestly, we've said this about the Padres a lot. Sport made this really good point today that the Padres make these big deals, right?
Mm.
And we always say, "Up, there goes their farm," and yet they always have more to
Yep.
then do later on, right? To like actually keep making these massive deals. Darvish, their entire rotation fast was acquired through trades. Their
Mm.
entire rotation.
Yeah.
It's insane. So this
Well,
is how they work, and I think that yeah, Mackenzie Gore injured, but not really that injured. I think he's gonna get his opportunities to develop in Washington. Obviously, they gave a lot. Luke Voigt getting thrown in, I felt so bad for. I
mm.
like he was so excited about the Soto deal. I'm sure then all of a sudden found out he was going to because Hosmer said, "Nah, I'm good." Um, I think this is obviously the most of the Nationals could get, and I think they did a good job. And I think also Soto and Bell in San Diego is it's so fun. I love this so much.
There's no question it's fun. There was a great tweet that I retweeted today from at he went to Jared, which is great. That was listing out the OPS plus of the 1 through 9. Only one player, and that's Trent Grisham, has an OPS plus under 100, which is just remarkable. We're talking about, he's relying on Tatis's OPS plus from years past, but Soto with a 158 OPS plus, Machado with a 153 OPS plus. I also am curious to hear, and maybe people in chat can do this. We need a great nickname for Tatis Soto Machado, whatever that. You know what I mean? I
Oh
think
no,
it's
I mean
Triado Dominica.
Fernando Machado Soto.
Mhm.
There's got to be
3
something there.
Dominican players. There's got to be something. 3 Dominican players. I want to focus on the Dominican aspects. I think it's incredibly important. Someone had a great
Mm,
one called Triada Dominica that I thought was perfect. I think it was Emily Nyman. But I'm
yeah,
curious to hear other people's.
that's really
Uh,
good.
but who is there? Is it a tie or who wins that trade for you?
I mean, winning a trade is I think it's really hard to determine right now. I think both sides win. I mean, I think they both benefit from it. Um, and I mean, we'll see. You know, that's always kind of how it plays out. Is we'll see if those prospects are something legitimate for the Nationals over the years. We'll see if Soto does come through for the Padres, or if it just feels like they squandered this opportunity. But it
Mm,
doesn't feel like a good trade is one where no one wins or no one loses, everyone wins, right?
yeah.
This feels
Yeah,
like one.
it'll be interesting. I wonder if they one of my favorite things when it comes to baseball is flags fly forever, and I
Mm,
wonder if that is what if that's where the trade is valued. Like, do the Padres need to win a World Series with Juan Soto in order for this to be considered a win? Do they need to get to the World Series for this to be
mhm.
considered a win? Do they need to get to the NLCS? I wonder what the barometer is there. It's an interesting thing. It's so nebulous. Um, so yeah, I kind of agree with the assessment too that it is at the moment kind of a win-win. It's definitely good for baseball. And I tell you what, the Dodgers play the Padres Friday. We're gonna
Oh
we're gonna
man.
see this
Wait,
right
th-
away.
there is there's another game on Friday that is cracking me up. Absolutely cracking me up, but we'll talk about that one later.
I think I know what it
Um
is.
it,
I think
it's
I know what it is.
unbelievable. Baseball is so cruel. Um the part of that deal was this whole Eric Hosmer situation. If you didn't hear
Mhm.
about it, Eric Hosmer was supposed to be in this deal to the Nationals.
Yep.
And then it came out on Twitter that Hosmer was included, and the whole deal is being held up because Hosmer has a no trade clause with the Nationals as one of the teams he can refuse a trade to. And the whole idea was that all of a sudden the Padres are going to get this Max Scherzer situation from last year where they had Max Scherzer, then they didn't, and then the Dodgers got him, right?
Yeah.
And Hosmer rescinded, said, "No, I'm not going to do it." We all thought the deal was down. Then confirmed it wasn't. Luke Voigt goes instead. Feels so bad for him. But the Padres are pretty much saying, yeah, we got to get him off the books if we're doing this. So they send him off to the Red Sox. They get Jay Groom back, their 11th prospect. And they also send over Max Ferguson and Corey Rossier. And they also have to eat a lot of Hosmer's money.
Yeah.
I mean, the remaining a lot of the 39 million over the next 3 years. So I don't know really what the Red Sox want out of this. The whole Red Sox thing is so intriguing to me. They didn't deal any of their guys mainly. They made this Tommy Pham deal. They got rid of Christian Vasquez. We'll briefly go over those too, because I mean this is going to be a podcast. We're going to list all of them. If it's very fast, then it's very fast at the end. But I think we're going to go over the major ones. How'd you feel seeing this trade?
I mean, I felt just as perplexed as anyone else did, especially because like a friend of mine brought up a really good question where he was like, I wonder if every single GM is like, oh, you mean to tell me if Eric Hosmer, if I just don't acquire Eric Hosmer, if I do nothing, then maybe this Soto deal doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
was there a collective consciousness about being like, oh, you mean all I have to do is not pick up a phone and Soto is not a Padre? Okay, maybe I do that. Maybe I do that. So it's kind of interesting to me that the Red Sox were like, all right, AJ, you owe me one, but yeah, I'll take Eric Hosmer, because it doesn't, I don't know if it necessarily makes the team better. Like, listen, Bobby Dahlbeck is no MVP, but is Eric Hosmer a significant upgrade there? And Tommy Pham is a good acquisition. He's hitting second in the order for them right now. If they get healthy, you know, they're only they're 500 right now. They are 2.5 games out of the wild card. They clearly made a decision
wild.
that they're.
Yeah.
But it's almost like this acquison and the other acquisitions that they made are like non-committal. You know what I mean?
The
It's
whole
not
thing
like,
was they couldn't decide.
yeah,
They had Eovaldi to dangle out there, Michael Wacha, Rich Hill, and of course JD Martinez. And
yeah,
they didn't do anything there. Christian Vasquez, sure, at the end of the year, and they got something back for it, but they had to find a replacement. They felt that it wasn't a major change for them to do that. So might as well get something for Christian Vasquez then, right? And then this Hosmer deal, I imagine they're actually really interested in those Padres prospects. I would imagine so. Jay Groom, I feel like is too much to give for. A free Eric Hosmer for 3 years, but then again, it's pretty much a free Eric Hosmer for 3 years. At least they have that under their belt. Maybe they see that as more beneficial, even though we know how we feel about Eric Hosmer. I am going to keep going through these. And I actually want to do very quickly is just do a recap before today, just to go over all the deals because I really want to go over all of them if we can. So July 22nd, the Mets got Daniel Vogelbach for Colin Holderman from the Pirates. Okay. They pretty much just needed someone to go against right-handed pitching. They need a lefty like DH guy. The Yankees got Andrew Benintendi last Wednesday. They gave up kind of insignificant prospects in the 13th one as Sakeme and then Beckway and then Chandler Champlain, whatever. And they kind of spelled their deal of Joey Gallo today. We'll get to in a moment. The Mets dealt for Tyler Naquin and Philip Deal. I'm going to mispronounce so many names. I'm so sorry. The Reds got Jose Acuna and Hector Rodriguez, both not rated in the top prospects of the Mets. Friday was a big Luis Castillo deal. We're going to talk about that for a second. Big deal because keep in mind, as far as all the pitchers on the market went, many consider, I think I would too, Luis Castillo being the premier option, right? And it's a little rare to see that happen so fast. Normally it does get pushed until late. But this happening early, I think kind of opened and set the tone for some of the other trades that we had. And the Reds got a lot here. They got the number one prospect for the Mariners now, Noelvi and Marte, Edwin Arroyo, the number 3 prospect, Levi Stout, the number 5 for the Mariners, and Andrew Moore, who isn't rated. How did you feel about this trade fast?
Which trade?
This is Luis Castillo to the Mariners. And
I'm not gonna lie, I got distracted because did you see? And this is the fun of this podcast. Did you see how many strikeouts Spencer Strider had tonight?
I think I saw 12.
13.
Oh, you just got a
Ended
13th.
ended
Oh,
with
that's nice.
that's fun. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit in on the corner last night. So you should check that out if you haven't already, of course. But I think you brought up some really interesting points. Where my first take was like, this is a park upgrade, this is a defensive upgrade, and then when you start to dig into the metrics a little bit more, you realize, well, he was actually getting some pretty good defense behind him, and I'm curious to see, considering the BABIP that he already had, considering the home run to fly ball rate that he already had, if being in Seattle is going to be that much of a difference for him.
Mhm.
Um, so I think overall, it's another thing. Like when I take off my analytical hat and put on my kind of fan hat, it's another great for baseball trade because it takes a team that has not been in the playoffs for quite some time and already puts them in the thick of the wild card hunt. It makes, I think it was Mike Petriello who tweeted yesterday that the most interesting race down the line is going to be who gets the wild card one spot between Seattle and Toronto because Robbie Ray cannot enter Canada. And
Oh,
as a result,
wow.
if they do not have home field advantage, Robbie Ray will not be available to pitch for the Seattle Mariners in Canada, which
Because
I
he's not
think
vaccinated?
because he's not vaccinated.
I mean,
So
theoretically, he could by then, but
yeah, if
yeah.
if Andrew if Whit Merrifield decided to have a
Yeah,
change of
right.
heart, then maybe Robbie Ray could have one too. So
That's
yeah,
wild.
I think that's it. I'm very happy for Seattle. I think I have a kindred. They are kindred spirits because they're just like the O's and that it's been a long time since they've been successful. So I'm
Yeah.
very very happy for that fan base, which is who knows how it's going to pan out, but at the moment it's very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely, and it makes that Julio Rodriguez injury even more painful, and you can just
Yeah.
only hope for them that that will be okay, and they'll still make it to the playoffs, but that's a major deal, yeah.
I listen. I want to be very, very clear about this. Julio Rodriguez is awesome. He's the best. Getting
Uh-huh.
injured sucks. It's the
Yeah.
worst. We want to see him run away with that Rookie of the Year
Right.
campaign. What that does for the AL Rookie of the Year campaign is very interesting. He at this moment right now, season ends. He's the runaway Rookie of the Year candidate.
Right, but
If
now you have
Bobby
2
Witt
months or
Jr.,
whatever, sure.
if Adley Rutschman
Mm.
catches up
I
in that
knew it.
time,
I knew Adley Rutschman is the reason why you care. Oh my god.
Bobby
Yeah,
Witt too has a really good case.
it's unbelievable. I it just
Oh,
always
having a
sinks
heart
in.
is unbelievable?
It just
Oh, I'm
sinks
sorry.
in
Oh, I'm
every
sorry. Having a
time.
heart is unbelievable. That was my I think you should leave impression.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Okay. Anyway, Luis Castillo going to Seattle is a really good thing, and I cannot wait to see him. Of course, now people are like, oh, cool. It's gonna be a better situation now. He faces the Yankees twice, so
yeah.
we'll see how that goes. By
Loser.
the way, I do want to say, Sacris in chat says Nick outfit change number 3 today because it's my third stream of the day. I've been wearing something
Wow.
different all the time. It's actually the
Okay.
fourth because for our dev meetings every Tuesday, which is before this show, you have to wear maroon. So I was wearing a maroon shirt for that.
Oh my god.
So yeah, it's just I started wearing maroon all the time. Then they started wearing maroon to mock me. So now it's like the thing. Anyway, we're gonna move on here. So we have David Peralta going to the Rays from the Diamondbacks. We got Christian Serta back. Edmundo Sosa for Jojo Romero to the Cardinals, and Sosa to the Phillies, and Chris Martin to the Dodgers. While the Cubs got Zach McKinstry. Don't underrate that. You might see a lot of Chris Martin in the playoffs. That was on Saturday. And on Sunday, we only had one deal, Dixon Machado going to the Cubs from Reynal Espinal from the Cubs to the Giants. So not really too much. We had some movement on how well Monday was the calm before the storm, except
Yeah.
not. It was a storm before the
Yeah.
storm. There were a lot of little moves here. I'm not going to get too far into this because there's so many names we don't know. But Luke Weaver went to the Royals, and the Diamondbacks
Mhm.
gave back Emmanuel Rivera. Garrett Clevenger, and reverse that. Yeah, I got that right. Yeah, Garrett Clevenger went to the Rays, and it felt like one of those like, ooh, we're the Rays, and we're going to make a guy really good. As the Dodgers got Herman Tapia. Robbie Grossman went to Atlanta for Chris Anglin. Matt Bush went to the Brewers. They needed another opener instead of Wade Miley. So Mark Mathias and Antoine Kelly. That was a joke fast. You were supposed to laugh. Jake Diekman
Yeah, sorry.
went
I
went
was
to
wondering
the
where we were gonna pick up.
the White Sox as the Red Sox in the trade of pink laundry. The White Sox got Jake Dickey while the Red Sox. I think that joke got me onto the MSG show in 2019 fast. But anyway, the Red Sox got Reese McGuire. Scott Efros went to the Yankees as the Cubs got Hayden Wesneski, their seventh
He's
prospect.
nasty, by the way,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, but Scott Efros is a very interesting one. Team control too as a reliever, and I think the Yankees see a lot of that kind of like a I
He's
mean the Yankees
nasty. It makes sense.
yeah. Tommy Pham went to the Red Sox and was thinking, "Oh, are they pursuing things? This is what's going on." As the Reds got a
Mhm.
player to be named later or cash. But Christian Vasquez went to the Astros as the Red Sox sent over or got Emmanuel Valdez and Weiler Abreu, 28th and 29th ranked prospects respectively. Adrianza went to Atlanta. Trade Harris from the went to the Nationals from Atlanta. I'm butchering this. Jaco DeRizzi went to Atlanta. The Astros got Will Smith. That's a very intriguing deal. I do want to talk about that really quickly. That Atlanta
Yeah.
may be getting more depth here, while Strider might be limited a little bit here and there, and Ian Anderson might
Mhm.
get fewer innings. While the Astros get a bullpen arm that they need. I mean, this made a lot of sense, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, especially with the context of what happened later on today with Raisel Iglesias being acquired by Atlanta, right? Because theoretically, you don't want to be losing bullpen arms as you go into a playoff race, and they didn't necessarily. Will Smith's stuff isn't as elite as it once was. Raisel Iglesias clearly with better
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
So
we'll get
while
to
that was a
that.
little bit
Yeah.
of a head scratcher at the moment, with context, it definitely makes much more sense.
Yeah. So then the Cardinals made this really interesting deal, which we almost predicted. We essentially predicted, but we didn't. But maybe
Nailed
we
it.
did. Jose Quintana and Chris Stratton going to the Cardinals, while the Pirates got Johan Oviedo and Malcolm Nunez. And there is something I like about Oviedo, but going to the Pirates, well, never mind. I think he has intriguing stuff. He sits around mid 90s. He has some interesting breaking balls, but like I remember in 2021, I called him a young gun, being like, "Oh, at some point I would pick him up in Dynasty because I think there's something there." But not
Mhm.
in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. Did you know that the Astros got Trey Mancini and Jaden Murray yesterday? I don't know if you knew about that one.
You
Um,
bet your bupkis I did.
the Rays got Jose Siri from the Astros, and the Orioles got Seth Johnson and Chase McDermott. Seth Johnson looking kind of filthy fast.
Yeah, looking kind of filthy. Not going to be around for a couple years, having Tommy John surgery, which is very interesting. Hey, give us the guy that needs Tommy John. But the Orioles needed one thing in their farm, and that was pitching depth, and they acquired that pitching depth. I am very happy with the trade. You hit the nail on the head earlier with San Diego, where it's like, I think it's so incredibly hard to develop pitching. So rather than risk it, fill your farm with unbelievably like filled with upside hitters, knowing that you are going to trade them for elite
Yeah,
pitching.
yeah.
The Orioles,
That's the Padres
I
way,
think,
baby.
I think the Orioles are going to do it too. And honestly, the Astros did it too. They acquired Cole, they acquired Verlander. Well, actually, one of them was it Cole a signing or was he a trade?
Cole was a trade
Yeah,
from the
Cole was a
Pirates.
trade. Yeah, so yeah,
And
they did the
so
exact
was
same
Verlander as
methodology.
the waiver wire one, though. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right. Where it was like the fax, making sure
yeah,
it went through at the last second.
yeah,
So yeah, like they're following that methodology. It seems, which makes sense. It's the same front office, so I'm all about it. I'm gonna miss Trey. I think he might be back in 2 years, but I'm all about it.
sure. So then we have two major trades that happened on
Mhm.
Monday that really got us going. There was the Frankie Montes and Lou Trevino. Trevino, who's now going to pitch to Trevino at times, and it's going to be amazing. For Ken Waldachuk, Luis Medina, Cooper Bowman, and JP Sears. So the Yankees got their guy in Montes. I mean, this is
Yeah.
huge. And I cannot wait to see this in action.
Montas is obviously a huge get for them. It's very exciting. I think, I don't remember which beat reporter it was, said, all right, the Yankees are out on Castillo, so now they're shifting all of their focus over to Montas. That makes a lot of sense. There's no question, about his upside. I think it might have been Eno who was like, the return is kind of not great for Oakland, which maybe kind of
Suggests
indicates
that
that maybe
the
the
shoulder. Yeah.
shoulder might not be great. It really wasn't the the Montes part that was most interesting to me was the Lou Trevino one,
Mm.
because Lou Trevino is not a dude, if I'm remembering correctly, who is known for having particularly elite stuff, right? He's now, and he's joining a cadre of people who have elite stuff,
Well,
right?
I will
Um,
say he struck out 45 batters in 32 innings this year. I
yeah,
but 6.47 ERA in walking 14 in 39 appearances as well. So
yeah,
there might be something there that the Yankees say, okay, I think we can tweak this.
yeah. I mean, there has to be that, but this is a guy relying on four seamers and sinkers, who's throwing 95, 96. I don't say that really disparagingly, but I guess if I'm a reliever, um, if I'm a reliever right now on the Yankees, I'm anticipating that I'm throwing upper 90s with filthy heaters. And I don't know if he necessarily has that. And the slider,
Sure.
he's only thrown 100 of them. That's his best swing and miss pitch. So it was a little curious, but again,
Mhm.
I'm not the Yankees. They're smarter than me.
Well, I'm glad you finally admitted it. I'm excited to see Montes do that, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Yankee rotation soon. Um, the last trade on Monday, the Padres went and got Josh Hader. We didn't even know that he would be
Ooh.
a thing. And the Brewers sent over Taylor Rogers, Dinelson Lamet, Robert Gasser, their seventh best prospect, and Estuary Ruiz. What was your reaction to this, Fast?
This is the one that completely blindsided me for sure. I mean, it's not often that two playoff contenders are like, "Hey, you want my closer? Yeah, you want mine? Oh, okay, cool." I understand it from I gotta give Milwaukee as an organization a lot of credit. I think they were extremely forthcoming about why this happened. And they released a statement.
Yeah.
Craig Counsell spoke out about it. They were very transparent about, like, hey, we pretend to be broke, even though we're not, and we are not going to be able to pay this guy. So as a result, we're going to go ahead and swap him out. He's been struggling recently. I'm sure he's going to overcome and be the Josh Hader that we expect him to see. I don't think it is a loss necessarily for the Brewers, but I will say, man, if Rogers blows a high leverage save in the playoffs, there will be hell to pay in that city.
I'll be honest, I'm very happy there was more words after what you said. Um, I thought
That
I thought it was just that was the sentence, and I was like, "What,
was it.
fast? That's
That was
it?"
it.
But I can't help but think just a little about. All right, so Hader had a pretty bad stretch for a bit. 3 games in a row with a earned run
Mhm.
allowed, and then a okay, and then 2 more blowups, and then okay, and then another run allowed. And I wonder if the Brewers maybe knew something about Hader, and they would say, "Well, let's get out now."
Mm.
While they can still get something out of this, and it's kind of interesting. I mean, you move Devin Williams into a closer. We all know he's amazing. He's the airbender. So, okay, that's fine. So, great. Who's taking over for that? Well, I think Dinelson the Met can be that.
Yeah.
And maybe Taylor Rogers could be that, and maybe maybe it doesn't actually change. And I know how overwhelming it is to have a guy that has a 42% strikeout rate on your team. How he comes in a playoff situation and you just feel like he has the playoff electricity. You know
Mm.
what I mean? There's something. I know it sounds crazy to talk about it like this, but there's something to be said about guys who throw harder with a lot of movement in the playoffs than than it is in the regular season. You know, you need your
Sure.
Felix Bautista to just show up and you feel so much better and that confidence is
Bless
there
up.
with them. I got you.
Thank you.
And if you have someone like a Jim Johnson instead,
Okay.
also you.
Wow.
It's just not it doesn't feel like it's gonna work, you know? Um,
Jeez. And I
I know
watched that happen.
I had
I
to,
watched him blow the game against the Yankees in person, and it did not work.
Oh, man, I'm so sorry. But you understand what I'm getting at of that playoff experience that you need to have those guys, and Devin Williams can be that. So,
You
but
remember
Josh Hader has that little extra element, and I'm excited for the Padres to have this guy for them.
you remember who the hero was of that 2012 ALDS between Baltimore and
I mean, how could I ever forget Raul Ibanez?
sometimes I just
How
wake
could
up in
I
a cold sweat.
ever how could I ever forget that, Fast?
In my tenure at MLB, there was a time he was walking around the office, and it took every ounce of
Really?
professionalism to not just flip him the bird. That man
You know,
ruined
did he
so
have to
much of
throw
my
you a
life.
pen and he instead just spiked it into the ground?
God, that was also the year Jeter broke his ankle, wasn't it?
I was at the game.
Oh
I
wow.
was at the game. This is okay, very quickly. I we beat the Orioles and we should not have beaten you guys. It was Raul
Yeah.
Ibanez being ridiculous and saving us that series. The Yankee offense was just so bad.
Yeah.
And I remember going to game 1 of the ALCS against the Tigers.
Mhm.
And I was there with my friend Ian Gus, and it was just a bad game. We were getting like we were in like the nosebleeds and stuff, but we were like losing. It was just horrible. Down 4-0. And so Ian is someone who was like, "Hey, let's like watch the rest of it in the atrium and beat like everyone home and stuff." And I normally would be like, "No, but like outright, it's 4-0. Like feels so bad, right?"
Mm.
But then I believe it was it Arthur Rhodes or not Arthur Rhodes? Oh
Mhm.
man, what was this closer's name for the Tigers? He was so bad. Okay, well he wasn't so bad. Maybe it was Fernando Rodney. No, it wasn't him. Anyway,
No.
I wish I should
It
remember
was
this and I
in
don't.
2012, it wasn't Soria or Jabba Chamberlain, it was
No, no, no. Anyway,
let me Google it.
he had already had a history of blowing games, and Ichiro Suzuki for the Yankees. Man gets on first and says, "All right, I'm going to hit a home run now," and hits one straight down the line, like the foul pole, like inside of it. And it's 4-2. And we're all doing like our math and stuff, being like, "Oh, it's going to be A-Rod up with 2 outs or whatever." And A-Rod sits down, and Raul Ibanez steps in.
Mm.
And we all go nuts. We're like, "Oh, man." And what does Raul do? He hits a 2-run shot to tie it 4-4. And I remember this, and we everybody was in the atrium watching this. Everyone had like left the seats, and then everyone ran
Just
into the
rushed back.
seats. And there I am, like field
Pitiful.
level, right behind the right field line. The foul pole is like 30 feet to my right, and I'm like second row. This is amazing, right? And what happens? Derek Jeter then breaks his ankle. Standing
Mm.
like I'm like right there. So what do? They lose this game. I know it's a very long story. I go the next game, the next day. The tickets were $15 for the
Yeah,
bleachers.
that's
No
that's
one
crazy.
wanted to go to an ALCS game 2,
That they
right?
got and that they
Everyone
got
knew.
swept. They got
Everyone
swept?
knew we were going to get swept. And
Was
so
that
it
the
was a
year
Saturday and we went and I remember this so distinctly. I Miguel Cabrera with 2 outs. It's a single up the middle. I'm in the bleachers
Mhm.
in left field, $15. And this guy in a Tigers uniform stands up. Everyone's sitting down, stands up and starts clapping and cheering. Right, 2012, and no one says a word.
Oh,
And
boy.
and all of a sudden, this large man, after about 10 seconds, stands up and with his round lips and everything, points out like an opera singer and goes, "Boo!" And then the entire bleachers just starts raining down on this guy. And it didn't matter. We lost like 5-0 or something,
Was
and it was like, this is why did I ever get this ticket? Why did I do this? And we got swept, and that was that.
was that
And
the
yes,
year
so
they
I
won the
remember
World
Raul
Series?
Ibanez in 2012. Yeah, they went to the World Series and lost to the Giants as
The Giants, yeah.
Sergio Romo threw a 0-2 fastball down the middle that Miguel Cabrera just looked at and walked home.
I think Jose Valverde might have been the closer you're
That's the
thinking
one.
of.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the guy. Oh boy. Anyway, so
Anyway.
that was tough. Hope you enjoyed that. I but what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna shift from Monday into Tuesday. What happened today with the trade deadline? But before we do, we are gonna take a quick break. Yeah, we definitely needed a break after that story that you were just like, Nick, it's been like 10 minutes. I'm like, I know.
You started by saying it was gonna be quick.
I
He
know, but
lied.
I love that story. It's a
It's a
fun
great
story.
story.
Oh God, do I remember Raul Ibanez? He says, unbelievable, unbelievable. All right, here we go. All right, it was trade deadline day. It's Christmas Day, and there were some major, major deals. We talked about, of course, the Juan Soto one by and Eric Hosmer, but there were a lot of deals. I'm just going to go straight through it now. Joey Gallo got dealt. They made it happen. And they got
Yeah.
Clayton Beater. And I love Grant Brisbee forever. He's one of my favorite baseball writers. And of course, he says the Giants have been searching for Clayton Beater for years. And that's
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 good
really
stuff.
funny. Yeah,
That's
right?
good stuff. That's good stuff. Happy for Joey. Lindsay Adler with that fantastic article in The Athletic that you should go read, where you just felt so much for that man. I did think it was kind of ironic that he is going from one fan base that is notoriously cruel to its players who are underperforming to maybe another fan base that kind of feels the exact same way. But
Yeah.
I wish him the best. I hope he has success and can turn it around a little bit, because I know it was, listen, just needs the beard back.
I think it's a little bit of expectations are different now. Joey Gallo was supposed
Yeah,
to be this like big good fit for the Yankees. This is just kind of
sure.
like free money for Joey Gallo.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Um, Now clean beater, I will say my what I've read is that he is an explosive reliever type, chaotic, but can throw hard and be kind of as profiled as like one of those major reliever types as a possibility. So very
Mhm,
curious about that. The Yankees are just taking a chance on that one. Might seem down the road. The Orioles made a major deal for
mhm.
trading away Jorge Lopez. I gotta say, I don't know anything about these prospects from the Twins. Okay, Kate Povich, Yenier Cano, and Juan Rojas and Juan Nunez. I got through it. Um, but you got to be thrilled that like he got things for Jorge Lopez fast.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, he's also been struggling as of late, and there have been few ninth innings where he has looked completely shut down. It wasn't a surprise to see him go. There are really good articles about him on The Athletic, about his family and the difficulties that he's had in his past, and just
Oh
how
wow,
amazing of a human being that he is. So the Orioles really rallied around him, and he's apparently just a great A human being. So you should check out that article about him.
yeah,
But from a baseball's perspective, I thought it was interesting to see what, not to move forward too much, what the Blue Jays were able to acquire for Anthony Bass and Zach Pop compared to what the Orioles were able to get for Jorge Lopez. Jorge Lopez, I think, overall having a better year. Zach Pop probably has better stuff, former Orioles prospect as well. Cade Povich, Ben Palmer had a really good tweet today about his breaking pitches. Not too well regarded in the Twins organization. Once again, though, fits into the theme that we were talking about earlier about the Orioles acquiring pitching depth, and boy, did they ever, just by getting four warm bodies. Happy that they were able to get something. Felix Bautista, I think, probably the closer of the future for Baltimore. So that's nice to see him settle into that role. Thought maybe they were going to get a little bit more. Instead, they decided to kind of spread it thin and get four dudes. But yeah, happy he's on a good team. Excited to watch him in the playoffs.
yeah. So yeah, the Blue Jays I think made a necessary deal where they just bolster their pen a bit. Got two guys
Mm-hmm.
instead of one. I think that's a good move for them. Jordan Groshans going off to the Marlins. He's apparently the number 4 prospect for the Jays. So maybe that works out. Brandon Marsh and David Robertson were both acquired by the Phillies. They also required Noah Syndergaard here. So the Angels got Logan O'Hop, the number 3 prospect from the Phillies for Brandon Marsh. The Cubs got our very own gift master, Ben Brown,
Mm-hmm.
the number 26. I one. It's just the same name, guys. I'm just having a joke. And then Mickey Moniak and JD Sanchez are going to the Angels for Noah Syndergaard. Moniak was the 1-1, I believe,
Yeah,
back in the day, which is very interesting. But let's talk about the quickly Marsh and Robertson here, and actually a whole package here. The Phils
sure.
got each of those assets. They got a bat, they got a reliever, they got a starter. How do you feel about this?
Well, considering the Phillies are currently in the process of getting blown out by Atlanta 13-1, you can tell that they definitely need a little bit more pitching help right now. I always wonder what's going to happen when any good reliever goes into Philadelphia, because they just seem to be able to work magic and having all their relievers be absolutely terrible. Brandon Marsh, a lot of swing and miss in his game, but a lot of really good upside. Definitely a defensive upgrade for that team. I think it'll be great to put him in center, be able to have him as a little bit more of a stopgap until you get Bryce Harper back. Noah Syndergaard, I mean, I'm happy to see him on the move. I think it's great for baseball to see him pitch against the Mets. That'll be a lot of fun the first time that happens, and I'll be really excited to watch that game. Obviously, they get a little bit better. I don't trust the Angels system to really develop people at all. So I don't know what they're going to do with Moniak.
Well,
I don't know
maybe
what they're
as
going to do with.
humans. I mean, we got Joe Madden to get a mohawk.
That's true, but it's like Schrodinger's cat. Did it happen? Because we never saw it. It's still the best story. Yeah, I don't really necessarily trust them. You're right, though. Maybe they help them develop as humans by looking themselves in the mirror and saying, "What am I doing in this organization?"
I still
Um,
can't believe that he got fired with a mohawk.
the Mohawks, it's the best. Just the narrative, the mental image in my mind of him sitting in a recliner, hanging up the phone, looking in a mirror, and he has a mohawk, being like, "Well, what am I gonna do?"
I'm so
It,
sorry. I'm laughing. It's just
it's unbelievable. Um, I think it's all good moves for Philadelphia. I don't know if this makes them more competitive against Atlanta and New York. So we'll see.
all right. I mean, I think Syndergaard had to go somewhere. So good on the Angels for getting something back on that and taking a lottery ticket on Moniak there. I think it's a good deal. All around, so kind of surprised that Marsh was dealt separately and then they went back for Syndergaard.
Mhm.
But that's just kind of how deals go. Maybe there's something else that
Sure.
fell
Fell
through or
out.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff for the Phils. I mean, they're right there in the wild card. They have it right now, the third spot for the National League. So I like this. They needed help across the board, and that's pretty great to me. The Mets, their biggest deal today was Darren Ruff.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, they had to give up not just JD Davis, but Zaputski, who they've lost Zapucki or whatever you want to say. Nick Zwack. Wow, what a name. Us Knicks. I remember him from the convention, but still. And Carson Seymour. Not major prospects here for the Mets. For Darren Ruff. And I
This is
understand that
a
Ruff.
needle scratcher.
Well, now Ruff has an 887 OPS against lefties, is the thing.
Mhm.
So they essentially see this as a better utility play than JD Davis.
Yeah, I think it was Mike Petriello who might have tweeted out about the similarities in terms of, I don't remember what the metric was. It might have been OPS plus or something, and how they were virtually the exact same player, except Darren Ruff has many more years on JD Davis, and JD Davis is still in arbitration.
Mm,
So I don't know. I didn't really walk away thinking that the Mets won this trade. I mean,
yeah.
JD Davis, considering the amount of control that he has, the amount of versatility that he has
Mhm.
defensively, I guess. I understand he's not like the best offensive player and he's kind of a platoon bat, but this didn't seem like a step up for them. This didn't seem like
Sure.
them really improving.
It does. It is interesting. Vogelbach being good against right-handers and then Ruff being really good against left-handers. I think that's what they're going for here. As much as they can. And maybe I don't
But is
know JD Davis's numbers for against lefties, but I imagine Ruff's is better. So then you have that better pairing off. So it's good to know. By the way, AOC said, "Hey, we developed Reed Detmers, so come on, be easy on the Angels."
that's
I
true. That's true.
now,
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
wow, okay. You're a broken clock.
Oh,
I
here's the tweet. Here's the tweet.
Yes,
Sorry.
please.
Darren Ruff, a 35-year-old righty, mostly a DH, has a career 113 OPS. He got traded for JD Davis, a 29-year-old righty, mostly a DH, who has a career 113 OPS.
Yeah, that's what I understand, but they're getting rough because of how good he is against righties this year. That's
I
what's going
guess.
on, and they don't believe in
Yes.
JD Davis. But all right, Jordan Montgomery. This is, I think, was the shocker to me. When you talk about the last 10 minutes, things happen out of nowhere. I mean, there were 3 deals that happened. There was 2 others we'll get to, but Jordan Montgomery all of a sudden being dealt by the Yankees, he's firmly in the rotation, and
Yeah.
Domingo Herman was out with Frankie Montes and Severino still
Yep.
hurt. Like this was their number 5 or 4, you can even say above Tyone if you want to argue that. Going for Harrison Bader, who is currently in a boot. And it's a situation where if Bader doesn't return in the season, the Yankees will then get a player to be named later, uh, or cash instead.
Mm,
And it's shocking because there's still some team control for Jordan Montgomery. That is a serviceable starter through the year.
yeah.
And when the move happened, we thought, oh man, they're going to get Pablo Lopez. They're going to get
Totally.
someone else, Martin Perez, Rodon, whatever it is. And then poof, it's nothing. Ho I think all Yankee fans on Twitter are absolutely enraged about this right now. What do you
Yeah.
see happened here?
Well, first of all, I want to harken back to what you said earlier in the podcast. Was this what you were talking about with the poetry of baseball as Jordan Montgomery
Oh
will
my
go
god.
pitching
I
against?
put out this tweet. I put this tweet out. Is he's currently I was looking at roster resources. I was just kind of curious how it played out, and Jason put it as Jordan Montgomery will be pitching on Friday for the Cardinals, which is against the Yankees.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Jordan Montgomery getting dealt from the team that drafted him and everything. I believe the draft at least came up with them. And he gets dealt out of nowhere and has to now start against them
Against
on
in the other
Friday.
division too. I mean, in
3
the other
yeah,
like
league. It's just like the
league,
chances
excuse
of
me.
this. 3 days later? You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
I ugh, I have sympathy for the guy. I also have to even think just a little bit. There was a confrontation, a very small one, but, Montgomery getting pulled from the game against the Mets in, I believe, the 3rd inning or so, and I think you could see him say, "Why?"
Mm.
to Aaron Boone, and I'm not this is me just whatever, this is pure conjecture, but I do wonder if there was some element of discontent or something like that,
Maybe.
that that maybe rubbed the wrong way, and essentially it's like, "Alright, we'd rather go with a defensive specialist than Harrison Bader."
Yeah, it was they got rid of depth too with Montes by getting rid of JP Sears, who I really did think was going to be an interesting rotation option for them. You have, like you said, Severino with a strained lat, who's now on the 60-day IL. So you have to think from the Yankees' perspective. I mean, you're only thinking about the playoffs right now, right? I mean, you're as close to a lock as you can get with the lead that you have in the division and the offense that you have. So now you're probably thinking, do I have a 1-2-3 punch going into the playoffs, right? So that 1-2-3 punch now is Garrett Cole, Frankie Montas, and then one of Nestor Cortez, Domingo Germán, Jameson Taillon, and Luis Severino if he returns and can maintain health. That's not the scariest 1-2-3
Right.
punch, especially with Garrett Cole looking a little bit more human recently and Frankie Montas being a question mark. So I think if I'm the Yankees fan, if I'm a Yankee fan, yeah, I am a little bit like, okay, I trust this organization. They're arguably the best team in baseball right now for a reason because they're being led by the organization that made this decision. But at the moment, it is like, did that move make us overall better? Is it yeah, it makes us
So
better defensively, but
so
does it
there is
overall make
some
us better?
there's something to be said about this, essentially Jordan Montgomery, let's say he's the number 5, going from Montgomery to Germán, right? The difference of that, and we're talking about over 10 starts essentially the rest of the year. Let's say Montgomery pitches better than Germán in 3 of those games, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's potentially 3 losses that you
Yeah.
get, because of it. The Yankees are so far ahead, in the AL East right now
Mm-hmm.
that in their you know, in their idea, it's like, okay, we don't need to invest to try and improve those 3 losses theoretically. I mean, I think that's essentially saying 3 WAR difference between Herman and
Mm-hmm.
Montgomery for the end, which I think is very aggressive. But anyway, but still,
They're
I that's kind of the thought process of this, I think, where if you're playing for the playoffs, Jordan Montgomery does not really push the needle much. But then you can make an argument that Harrison Bader being healthy does help them for the playoffs. Much better
yeah.
outfield defense, could be a good replacement for Hicks, or it could be a replacement for whatever. That might be something that's very helpful for them. So, and also Bader's there next year, and it could also be a play for next season where Bader's a part of that crew now too. That it might be the thought process here. That said, I really wish they had another starter because, yeah, I mean, with Severino
Yeah.
being hurt, I think it changes everything here. And I don't think Jordan Montgomery is actually the problem. I think it's more of just a question of, wait, the Yankees need to get something else too, and they didn't. We're gonna move on here though because we have 10
Well,
minutes to
wait,
go. Oh yeah, sorry.
one sec, very quickly. There is something important because isn't this the first year too where like the 1 seed gets the bye, right?
It's
And
there are
as a
3 wild card teams. The first two teams get the bye in the
oh, it is
divisions.
1 and 2.
Yeah, it's 6
Okay.
teams are in the playoffs,
Oh,
right?
you know what?
3 1 for
I'm
each division
conflating
and
this.
1. Yeah.
I was conflating with the NFL. I apologize.
I'm sorry. What'd you do?
I conflated with the
With
NFL.
what?
I know.
On Christmas Day. Do
I'm
not.
Jewish.
This is the last day that we
I'm
have
Jewish.
before football arrives.
I'm Jewish.
Okay. Tyler Malley. Oh man, I love this. The Twins got Tyler Malley. They dealt Spencer Steer, their 7th prospect, their 18th prospect, and 23rd. I'm not going to pronounce all these names. Malley going to the Twins, I think, is amazing.
Yeah.
Better division by far. He's on the best offensive team in it. Gets the White Sox, the Guardians, the Tigers, the Royals. The home park is better. And honestly, I love this so much because the Twins need to win one game. They need to win
Hmm.
one playoff game. They don't need to win a series. They just don't. They just need to win one playoff game, and that stupid curse is gone. It's broken. The
Oh,
whole with they've lost 18 games in a row, whatever it is in the playoffs. It's insanity, and I love that they've made moves to just try to get rid of that. They don't even need to
and you
win past the first round. Just win one game. That's it.
yeah, okay. I thought you were talking about the okay. Yeah, I'm with you. You can rarely look at a pitcher's home road splits too seriously. Tyler
Oh,
Mahle's
the
home
Tyler
road
Malleys
splits
were just the worst thing ever.
it's awful. So it's a win-win.
Oh man. I love this, and I gotta say, hand to the Reds. They actually did make trades. We didn't really know if they would. They
Yep.
made another one. They traded away Brandon Drury for Victor Acosta, the number 6 prospect for the Padres. The Padres just did more stuff.
It's a nice
And
haul.
yeah, I mean Brandon Drury, sorry, excellent player, and it's just about where is he going to go. We don't quite know. There are a lot of aren't too many holes, especially with Fernando Tatis coming back soon. Does he displace Profar, Kim,
Mm,
Will Myers? I mean, what's going on? We don't really know. We'll see there, but props to the Reds. We were saying they might just not do anything, and what did they do? They did the major things they needed to do, trading away
yeah.
Drury, Malley, and Castillo. So props to them. They also dealt Tommy Pham to the Red Sox the other day too. So I mean, good job. You got things done.
Yeah.
You have Trevor Rosenthal and two small reliever moves here. Trevor Rosenthal, who the Giants just got, sending off to the Brewers for Tristan Peters, their 19th prospect. We'll see if Rosenthal can make an impact for the Brewers. I think that's just kind of like a ceiling reliever. Hopefully that will make the playoff stretch for them. Michael Fulmer went to the Twins, and there's more relief help. Sure, all right,
Mhm.
they'll
Yeah.
take that one. Good job, Tigers, getting some deal done. They decided to trade Tarek Skubal ultimately, but then again, the arm injury, I think, I had people scared in the first place. We have a few more, very few left. The Jays made 2 deals that I want to talk about.
Mhm.
Last minute ones for both. One is Mitch White,
Yeah.
which doesn't seem very significant, but keep in mind they also got Ross Stripling from the Dodgers before, and it panned out. They didn't really give much up here. Um, I mean, imagine you're on the same page with maybe some piggybacking, maybe some like backup depth that they really need something. But it doesn't really seem like a major move for the Blue Jays.
No, yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. It doesn't seem anything more than a little bit more depth. I mean, they could use that pitching help, and Mitch White definitely has the upside where he could theoretically pan out for them. But I think that Merrifield move really
Well,
is
right, that's the other one. So the
yeah.
Royals dealt Merrifield after Merrifield did not play in Toronto. He was not
Mm,
vaccinated. Now he gets dealt to Toronto. So it's like, all right, fine, I'll get vaccinated, which is kind of like, dude, just what? You wouldn't do it for your team before? It's kind of, yeah, I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way. Um, Now they sent Max Castillo and then Samad Taylor to get him. There's a thought that Springer's more hurt because of this deal, because it's kind of like, where's what Merrifield going to play? I guess it's the outfield, helping covering
mhm.
for the elbow injury that George Springer has. But I mean, that offense just gets better, and
Yeah,
they are going to be scary if that pitching holds up in any way.
they're still my World Series choice.
Who is Whit Merrifield's father? Because clearly he was a major leaguer. And we have Raisel Iglesias last minute here. This is the last major one going off to Atlanta for Jesse Chavez, who I feel like has played for every team at this point,
Mm.
and Tucker Davidson, who's had some moments in the limelight for Atlanta. The Angels get him for Raisel, and honestly, to me, concerning I've focused on Tucker Davidson a little bit, seems a little light for a very solid bullpen piece.
Yeah, not really walking away thinking that the Angels this was really fair or the Angels really kind of won one here. I mean, I know we're not talking about Jorge Lopez. We're not talking about Michael Fulmer. We're talking about a guy with really really great stuff. That's been he was arguably the
He's
best reliever in
consistent.
baseball
Yeah.
last year. Very consistent. It's been good wherever he goes.
Now, it
Maybe
has
a little bit
struggled a
more.
little bit more this year, 4.04 ERA, as opposed to the 2.57 last year, but still fits
Sure.
48 strikeouts and 35 and 2/3 innings, 16 out of 19 on the save chances. Like, Barzell is still a very good reliever.
Yeah, and so what is Tucker? I don't know what does Tucker Davidson really give you? You said you hit on all the big ones, but you didn't. You missed a very big one.
Oh, stop that. You're gonna talk about Michael
What?
Givens, your boy
Huh?
from before? You're gonna talk about Michael
Nope.
Givens?
Not talking about Michael Givens.
Uh-huh.
The
Who am I
biggest
talking?
trade of the day.
Don't not Brett Phillips.
No, not Brett Phillips.
Which
Friend of
one
the
first?
podcast. Friend of the podcast.
Uh-huh.
Number one best boy himself. Matthew Boyd is a Mariner.
Yeah, all right, yeah. Boys, I know. It's kind of wild, right? Like, I mean, what are we gonna see from him? I think actually more interesting in this deal. This was the Mariners getting Kirk Casale and Matthew Boyd from Michael Streifler and Andy Thomas. It goes to the Giants. Both are not rated prospects. You want to know what I think the most interesting part is?
Hmm.
Kirk Casale and Luis Castillo were former teammates and
Oh,
pitched really
that's
well.
right,
And
in
Ben
Sin City.
Rosener of the site of Pitcher List had a really good tweet about it, about how well Luis Castillo pitched with Kirk Casale. Maybe he becomes a personal catcher. Something to be said
That is
there.
very interesting. That's a great perspective too. I also, we joke a little bit, but like Matthew Boyd was just doing his rehab in San Francisco. I don't think the Giants, like, that doesn't seem like a person that the Giants are like, hey, we got a Matthew Boyd, who wants him? Which means that Seattle probably called and was like, hey, we want Matthew Boyd. So
Yeah.
that's interesting to me. That is very
Mhm.
interesting to me to see what they do with him. Maybe they just convert him into a reliever and have him throw a
Well,
thousand
that's what
sliders.
they said. They see him as a long relief or like
Mhm.
a smaller role this year. So we'll see what goes on there. I mean, that's well, yeah, we'll see. Could be activated at the end of the month, is what Steve Drummond wrote. And by the way, look out for that article tomorrow. It's a massive chunker,
Yeah,
as
Jonker.
Fast to say. Last one's here, Jake Lamb went to the Mariners. The Dodgers got a player to be named later cash. Also, Romine went to the Reds. Cardinals got cash. Jeremy Beasley to the Pirates. And Brent Rooker was traded for Kim Gallagher. And that's about it. We did it. We got through all of them. Oh, Sandy Leone for Ian Hamilton. So the Twins got a backup catcher in Sandy Leone. Michael Givens went to the Mets for a little bit extra relief help. I feel like Michael Givens was already a Met, but I'm thinking Miguel Castro.
Mhm.
And
Both Orioles.
yeah, that's why I confuse them. But that's it. That's the trade deadline. We got through all of it, and we just nailed it in time. Unbelievable.
Didn't talk about Brett Phillips, but that's okay.
What do you want? Brett Phillips
Just
is now an
fun.
Oriole. He was DFA'd by the Rays, and the Orioles like, yeah, sure, whatever,
It's
we'll take
just
him.
fun, Nick. It's just a little fun. It's nice to have a guy who loves the sport. And I'll tell you what, we're 2-0 since we lost Trey Mancini, which kind of cracks me up
Oh,
as
you
we
know what?
beat up
I think
on.
the funniest thing about Trey Mancini, you know what his last at bat was in Camden?
It was the inside the park home run.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Isn't it wonderful?
Oh, it was A plus. It was A plus.
Oh man, but this is the trade deadline, and like this is always so fun to see everything just craziness happen. Uh, who had the best day? As we got one more minute left here, fast.
Ooh, wait, best overall trade deadline or best Tuesday?
Best trade deadline.
You got it. You got us.
Yeah.
You got to say San Diego. You got
Yeah,
it.
it's
You
gotta
just
be the
got to say
Padres.
San
It has
Diego.
to be the
Yeah.
Padres. I'm gonna say a sleeper is Atlanta. And another really, I got just hats off. Good job, Twins. You did what you needed to do. Good
Mhm.
stuff. And we're excited. I'm excited for you. I hope. I mean, you maybe need one more Rodon going there or something like that. Who faltered the most?
The Cubs, not Dylan Contreras. Very interesting.
Yeah. I would say maybe the Red Sox for being in this purgatory that
Great
they
point.
don't gain at all. It's just kind of a waste, if you ask me. But that is it for today. I know it's crazy. No wild thoughts, no other stuff, but this is important. We got to nail down the things for all of you. Thank you all so much for subbing to the show, getting PL Plus, all that fun stuff. Support what we do. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Nick and Alex Baseball Show. My name is Nick Pollack.
I'm Alex Fast, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Get out of here.